All right, I'm live. What can you say? Oh my God. These guys were so fabulous yesterday. And I'm just waiting to see if anybody comes on. I didn't, I'm still trying to work out what time I'm going to always be doing it. But in the meantime, this is the time. So we'll see if anybody pops on or not. But I had a wonderful time yesterday with Lara FM and Defender of Ants. Hey, JB, hi. Thank you for coming on. Hi, love it. Oh, I'm so happy you guys are here. Hi, JB, Tori. I know. It's Tori Magoo 44. And if you haven't subscribed or liked this video, wow, look at all these people. Hi. Hi, Mom Spaghetti. All right. And Doug from Clearwater. Excellent. Okay, good. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys. You have no idea how much the public have helped me for years. It's just been like incredible. You guys have been amazing, especially, I love the new guys and I love all my old friends coming back going, hey, I've been watching you for years. It's like really fun. Anyway, hi, Paula. Hi, Farah. Hi, Janie. Hi, 1984 is here. All right. That's true. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys. What I'm going to talk about today is, first of all, I want to do just a little bit of education, and many of you may know this. Thank you, Kim. But for people who don't, because so often people ask me questions that have to do with the Sea Org. They don't have anything to do with public. And I thought, really, there aren't that many public that speak out. There's critics who were never in, and there are never-ins who were never in. And then there's me, and there's a few other people, but like Mark Bunker was never in. So he wasn't an ex-Scientologist. Thank you. Thank you, George. And thank you, all of you. I really appreciate you guys. I know last night was amazing. It was so fun. I had such a good time. And I've spent about an hour on it now today going, I don't know what to do. And I called Dylan and I called, I forget, I called Laura. I lost Defender of Ant's phone number. He gave it to me, but I can't find it. So if he hears this, please send me your phone number. But anyway, I tried to call him and then I just thought, I'll just have to figure it out. And I don't know how. I really don't, but I figured it out and here it is. So it worked. So anyway, there you go. So yes, this is the more of my escape series. That's what I'm going back to. Yesterday was just a fun day where we just had a great time. They were showing me StreamYard, and I kind of have it. I mean, I'm still definitely learning on it, and I appreciate everyone who's hanging with me. And if it's too much, I understand. If you go, I'll come back when you get it. But in the meantime, here I am. So I wanted to go over a couple of things, which is because there's tons of living that happened between me getting in and me starting to wake up. And so I don't, this isn't like my life story. I don't want to tell you everything. So I'm just going to kind of scoot through a number of years where I was, well, first of all, there's Sea Org in public, and I wanted to explain that. So the Sea Org are guys that were working with Hubbard. They were originally on his ship. He was out in the water to basically, from what I understand, to hide from the IRS. But anyway, he was big on, and navigation and the Sea Org, and they all had these uniforms and stuff like that. And Janice Gillum is a great person to watch her videos on that, because she was in the Sea Org, and she's written, I think, 3 books now on it, with really, kind of an amazing story, because her mother was Yvonne Jantz, who started Celebrity Center. And I was at Celebrity Center back when it first began. It's a wonderful place. At the time, it was a wonderful place, until she passed away. And then once she passed away, it totally changed. Other people took it over, and it really, really changed. It went from being inclusive, which Yvonne was, to exclusive. It was sort of like, if you're not on a TV show like Danny. I remember Danny. I knew Danny Masterson, and I remember him saying, well, if you're not on a TV show, you can't sit at this table. And I was like, screw you, man. I know you since you were 2. Give me a break. I couldn't believe watching the evolution of those, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, it was really a going down. They got much worse. And he was obviously one of them that got much worse. But anyway, so for the Sea Org, they're 24/7, 365 days a year. They're working for the Church of Scientology. People ask me all the time, do you live in those buildings? No, I'm public. They routed me out of the Sea Org. I joined the Sea Org for maybe, I don't know, 3 months. I was there for a very short time, and I ran out of my medicine that I take for epilepsy, which I have. I haven't had a seizure in 30 years, but when I was in Scientology, they made me leave the Sea Org to get off my medicine. And that was a nightmare in itself. And that's a whole nother, a midnight story, I'll tell you, because it's just sort of a weird story, but it's the facts. It's what happened. They took me off my medicine and thus screwed up my short-term memory. And I just saw my doctor recently, and he said, Tori, everyone in this office who has epilepsy and has had seizures has memory problems. That's just, it directly affects your memory, which I'm 76. No one had ever told me that. They've told me different things, but they never told me that. And so that helped me a lot, because I mean, you figure Scientology took me off my medicine, and I had many, many grand mal seizures until my mom dove in and said, either you're on your medication today, or I'm gonna fly out there tonight. And believe me, L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology will never forget your mother. So anyway, once I'm routed out of the Sea Org to handle the epilepsy, my mother says, no, that's it. You're on your medication, period, or I'm flying out there. And I know my mom, she can kick ass. So I thought, okay, and who wants to have a seizure anyway? And not me. But because I'm in the Truman Show, and they're really big on no medication. They have a little bit, but not much. They were really against my medicine. So I went back on my medicine, and that was it. So now I'm not SeaOrg, right? But I always had the mindset of kind of a SeaOrg where I'm like part of the team and stuff like that. But I literally, this was in my head. It was like, there's the bridge to total freedom, which is, they have the grades and different things. And then you go clear, and then you go OT, and then you do more OT levels. And it's a long haul. It's a really long haul. Most Sea Org members, I mean, it's like a triangle, and most Sea Org members never make it anywhere. They promise them everything. They say, we'll give you the whole bridge. If you come work with us, oh yeah, that's part of it. You'll get auditing, training, whatever you want. And they basically get whatever they need. They train them in, and then they charge them after working hours and hours and years at hard work. Now they charge them thousands of dollars because you left the Sea Org. And it's like, did they give them the auditing? I want the Sea Org guys that hear this, you've got to say, did you give me the auditing? Am I OT 8? Then you owe me, and add up how many hours you worked for them, and add up how much money they should have delivered to you, right? And didn't. That's their bill. Okay, that you don't have a bill. And I want anybody that's ever been in Scientology to realize you do not have a bill with them. You don't. I mean, I talk to people, I say, well, I still owe them like $10,000. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're going to pay them $10,000 when you worked for them for 20 years? I don't think so. Anyway, so why was the seizure medication wrong? It was not a psych medicine that always bothered me about your story. Okay, they considered it a psych medication. You have to understand, Scientologists are not logical. They are in the Truman Show. That's why I call it that. They can't think, right? They can only follow policy. And believe it or not, after I got out, I found out Hubbard was popping pills all the time. Hubbard was smoking, taking medicine, popping pills. So for him to be against me taking medicine for epilepsy, which he probably didn't even know about, but the point is they did, and people ran it on me forever. And it was only, I finally took on the flag land base in 1989 when they tried to kick me off the flag land base. And by then I was OT3. And anyway, it's a long story, but I finally got the entire tech land base corrected. I said, I wanted to go to the top guys. I am not going to do any more of this. We're done. That's it. And they can decide. Either you have an MU on what L. Ron Hubbard is saying in this policy, or I do. But I'm getting off track. This is a whole different, another scenario of shit that I was in. But I got them crammed and I got them corrected, and it was okay to take my medicine after 30 years. So, or I think it was 28 years when it happened. But anyway, that's, I thought I recognized you in Katie Roberts. Okay, whatever. Okay, that's a different thing. So there's the Sea Org. They're 24/7, 365 days a year. They're the only people that can be sent to the RPF, which is the Scientology Rehabilitation Project Force, which truthfully is a slave camp. And if you're bad at that, they send you to a worse slave camp. And that's the truth. That's what it is. It's not. One of the executives told me once, because I said, I feel kind of bad about these guys. They're having to slave away and work away. And this was just around the complex. They were all in black, and they have to wear a headband or whatever, an armband and shit like that. It was just weird. And she said, "Well, Tori, actually, it's really lucky." And I said, "Really? To be sent to the RPF?" She said, "Oh yeah, it's actually a good thing." I said, "How is it a good thing?" And she said, "Well, think about it. Here they have to work 24/7, 365 days a year. They don't get any auditing or training or anything like that. They get fed, but then they have to work." She said, "But in the RPF, half of the day they're studying or auditing. So they get part of their bridge that they're owed. And then the other half of the day, they're working outside." And I was sort of like, okay, that sounds good. It didn't sound great, but it didn't sound awful. It didn't sound as awful as I thought it was. It was like, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. They don't get any auditing. I knew that because I was an auditor and I tried to audit staff a lot. So I knew that, they really didn't get much auditing. So now she's saying they go out to the RPF, they co-audit, which is what I did for the lower part of the bridge. And remember, the bridge is like a triangle. And so the lower bridge, I just co-audited, like you audited me, I audit you. We each got trained on something, and then you did it, I did it, you did it, I did it. Okay, so there's that for the Sea Org. So that's the Sea Org. Then the other half of Scientology are public, which are people that are just paying public. My husband was born in my ex-husband, but he was born in Scientology at the time in 1950. His parents got in. So he never, when we got married, I said, "Well, we're going back in the Sea Org at some point." And he goes, "Tori, we're never going in the Sea Org," which is why I'm amazed, because after he divorced me in 2000 when I escaped out, and then he married an ex-Sea Org, which he didn't like the Sea Org ever. He didn't like Miscavige, and I hope I don't get him in trouble, but anyway, he didn't, and he didn't like Regis, and she's an ex-Sea Org Reg, his wife. So what can I say? People do what they're going to do. But anyway, so there's the Sea Org. And in the public are people that work at regular jobs. We live in regular houses. You either rent a house or you buy a house. So you're living in a house. You have a regular job. Many Scientologists work for, many Scientology public work for Scientology businesses, and a lot of them start Scientology businesses. So they make money that way, because now they're making money on the Scientologists that are working for them. And I've worked for them, so I speak from experience. And the other thing they have, everybody has side gigs, right? All the time, because it's like you have to get money. You have to make money. And it's like, if you're not making money, you're not going to continue on up the bridge. Jessica's in the house. All right. Hi, Jessica. That's fun. I don't know that she's ever been on my channel, so that's kind of fun. Anyway, this is a good education. So yes, so the public have houses, the public have jobs, and then we pay to do the courses, which again, remember, it's a triangle. And even though they call it a religion, a nonprofit religion, it is 100% for profit. You have to pay for everything, for books, for training, for auditing. And as you go up, it gets more and more expensive. So when I was on OT7, it's $7,000 for 12 and a half hours of sac checking. And sac checking is where they're finding out your ovaries. And, it's like 90% of the time you have nothing. You didn't do anything. Did you embezzle money? No, I don't even know what embezzlement was, really. And I finally told him, I said, you know what? You guys really need like a housewife sac check because, it's like, did I get my husband the right gift for Christmas? Or did I clean the house right? Or whatever. I mean, I worked, but, I was shitty at cooking. So, are you a shitty cook? Yes, I am. Did you feel like that was an over? Sort of, because I feel like I should, people should know how to cook and I don't. But that's just the way it is. And plus, I kept trying to cook, and my husband would go, you know what? You need more salt. You need more this. You need more that. And I finally said, you know what? If you want to cook, you cook. And he said, okay, I'll cook. And so he was always the cook in the house, or we'd eat out, one of those two. So that was in the household section. I know it's funny, but it's kind of true. It's like, it just was, I mean, they had these dramatically awful things that they would ask you if you did. And it's like, I don't even know what that is, let alone, did I do it? So no, I didn't. So yeah, it's a late night party. I know. With Magoo, late night. It's a good thing. It's not that late here. It's only 6:30, but it's probably 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. I know where my brother is. He's in Thailand. It's tomorrow, I think, for now. Or he's sleeping probably now. Anyway, I usually talk to him at 2 a.m, something like that. And then it's the next day. Anyway, so there's the public and there's the Sea Org. So before I go on anymore, do you guys have any questions on that? Now, let me look and see. I'm just going to scroll up because I just want to make sure if you have any questions on it that we get, and please just answer questions regarding this, Sea Org versus public. Okay, hi. Okay. So there's a lot of nice, wonderful people. Evening, Tori. I'm a Neverin from Mississippi. All right, congratulations. I know last night was really fun. It really was. I mean, I loved both of them, Laura and Defender of Ants. He's just such a great guy. I mean, he's really, really, really. I thought it was Defender of Ants, like ants on the ground. And I thought, why is he the Defender of Ants? I couldn't believe it. And then when he tells the story, it's like, oh my God. I mean, this guy's really smart. And it was really, I mean, I was very impressed with this whole thing. Anyway, all right. So these guys, I don't think there's any questions so far. Hello from Toronto. That's cool. All right. So I'm not going to say everybody's names because I'm bad at that. Rodney, hi. Last night was amazing. It was. I know. And it was probably, we're going to try to do it again because it's really fun having more than one person. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like my stories. All right. Mark Bunker's interview with Jason Begay was the first time I heard about Scientology. Yeah, that was kick-ass. I was there for that. It was really like, oh my God. He kept saying, fucking clear. Where are the fucking clears? Where are the motherfucking clears? And I was like, I thought, should I tell him? This is public, right? This is going to go on the internet forever. And then I thought, no, Tori, shut up. Just don't say a word. Because I swear all the time too. But, I just didn't know. He was saying it so much. I thought maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, we all loved it. And it's a great interview. And if you haven't seen it, Google Jason Begay. Okay, so I so want to carry this thing. But, okay. So you're in Norway. All right. Well, you'll have to hear it later. Okay, I hear you. I remember the first time I saw Jason Begay. Yeah, I know. I rewatched it a few times over the years. Yeah, me too. All right, so thank you. I'm trying to scroll down this. Let's see, Tori. I know it's crazy stuff, but you guys kind of get the picture with the public and Sea Org, the difference. Do you get that? And again, there's a lot of other people I hope watch this later. I don't see Jessica. Somebody said Jessica's in the house, but I don't see her. Jessica, where are you? She's not in the house. Anyway, I know Jess. She probably was in for 2 seconds and then left. Anyway, she's okay. Tori, have you ever heard from Harold? Nah, my son, of course. Go on Facebook. I'm with my son every 2 weeks. That was my deal with him when I left. I said, look, there's no disconnection. I'd gotten him out of Scientology before I left, so that was that. And then they did something to him. I don't know what, but he was a little spooked out when I first came back. And thank you, Chiquina. Cool. So I made a deal with him. I said, look, let's just get together every 2 weeks. That's what we're going to do. We'll have brunch. We had brunch for a long time. And then now we have dinner. That's what we do, or we have brunch or dinner, but we get together every 2 weeks. And we're really good friends. I really love him. He's a really smart kid. And he's helped me all my life, my whole life. He's really had my back. It's been amazing. So he's been in touch with me. Harold's not allowed to talk to me because he's still in Scientology. So he can't. He'd be declared suppressive. And he's really spooked out on SP. I think because when he was a kid, Hubbard came up with that. What happened with that was people were in Dianetics. And then Hubbard came up with Scientology. And a bunch of the people that were Dianeticists said, screw this, we're out. We're not doing Scientology. We don't want to be a religion. No, we're not doing it. So they left. So I think that's when Hubbard came up with that PTS-SP. And for anybody last night who asked, what is PTS? It's a potential trouble source. So me with epilepsy, anybody with any kind of physical illness, you are a PTS person. You're labeled that, and you're a potential trouble source, right? And that was Hubbard. That's what, so there's PTS, and then if it gets bad, you're declared SP if you do the wrong things. So drug addiction, that's a whole different thing. We're not talking about drug addiction tonight. Okay, but it's something that you missed once when you joined the church that people are now, let me see. People in now might relate to. I mean, honestly, I think the things that people relate to, people leave because you just get sick of, uh-oh, what happened? Oh no, I don't know what I did. What did I do? I didn't know what to do. Okay, exit the full screen. There we go. Did that do it? Ooh, now it's all really weird. Okay, how do I get rid of this thing? Oh, shoot, I knew this would happen. All right, does anybody know how to get rid of that? Okay, I think I click it up here. There you go. There. I did it. It's like I'm like a little kid. I can write a letter, Mom. It's like anyway. Okay, you said you're happy to hear that you are together. Yeah, me too. Thank God. I mean, I made sure that when the first kid hung himself, I took my son to SeaWorld and I said, look, I don't know what's going on. I think this is my religion, but if you're thinking about taking your life, you have to know that it's not going to be one death. It'll be two, because I'll be dead 5 minutes later. And he started laughing and he said, don't worry, Mom, it's not in the cards. And I said, good. And then I said, all right, come over here. And I got him a little soda. And I said, look, if you don't want to do Scientology, just say the word. I don't want you taking your life because of Scientology. And he said, I don't want to do it, Mom. I've watched you guys for years. You give them all your money. You have shitty cars. All your friends have shitty cars. You live in kind of crummy houses. I don't want to do that. That's not my thing. And I thought, I really respect that. And so I said, okay, then you're done. That's it. Just don't tell your dad at the time, because he was born in it. And I knew he'd have to disconnect from him because he was OT8. He's like at the very, very top. And don't even think about it, Hero Pizzazzi. And you already toasted it. I'll leave that be. But anyway, thank God I got him out. He was free. And then it took me a little while longer to finally wake up fully. Because, the big thing when you leave Scientology is you're going to lose all your friends, which I did overnight. They're just like 30 years of friends. That's it. Gone. And they would see you and people would go like this. And then they go, oh. And you'd see them on the phone. Like they have to call OSA, like Tori's here. And it's just like, oh, yeah. Unbelievable. So anyway, that's the difference in public and Sea Org. And I don't see anybody with it. I know it's very sad. But it isn't really, because I gained friends all around the world. It ended up being wonderful. I mean, it sounds sad to lose your friends, but Andrea said to me, what kind of friends could those be if they're going to leave you because you change your mind? And that's a really good question. And for anybody listening to this who's in Scientology, you've got to think about it. What kind of friends could those be? if they're going to leave you because you change your mind. I mean, it's such a simple thing, right? Okay, so there's that. So that's SeaOrg and public. And I'm going to keep trying to tell some more stuff about public because I think they're very underexposed. You know, it's like people don't get that there's two different sides to it, and a lot of the people are public. Um, can I call you a friend, Kareen? Okay, all right, there you go. Um, anyway, so the other part of this is how did I get hooked up with OSA? You know, I'm a public, right? I wasn't on staff with OSA. So what happened way before, probably a lot of you have heard about, good evening, Monty. A lot of you have heard about Yachty and what happened, and me, the top secret mafia and me and whatever. And I'll get into that, but not tonight. But what happened tonight, what happened tonight that I'm going to talk about, it was in 1979. We moved from Los Angeles to Clearwater, and it was the spookiest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, think of Nazi Germany and people, just thousands of people just, honking. And they had this whole thing where people were driving up and down in front of the flag land base, honk out Scientology, save sparkling Clearwater, stamp out Scientology, and all this stuff, right? I'm like, good God, what is this? And I have like a brand new, my son was just like newly born, right? I mean, not newly born, but he was like, I think a year or something. He was still a baby. So it was, he was pretty little. And so, because I was still carrying him and stuff. And so we go into, Milt Wolf calls me up from Clearwater, Florida. And he says, okay, this is all top secret. You can't ever tell anyone. And I say, okay, what is it? I'm like, this is like most public. You don't know anything. Most of the Sea Org don't know anything either. It's very totalitarian where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. So it's like you're in this room, they're in that room, and you can't know what they're doing in that room. Because if everybody knew what was going on, we'd leave. Do you see what I mean? So that's why Hubbard said, you can't talk about the tech. Why not? Because it's nuts. And people would go, I don't want to do this. Well, neither do I. Well, let's go. That kind of thing. But that doesn't happen because you're in the Truman Show. That's why I call it that. So I know the same things happen in other groups too. I'm not saying it just happens in Scientology. I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you what happened, with me. And I'm going to try to not look at those questions because I get off track and then I forget what I'm talking about. So let me think about it for a minute. I'm telling you about how I got into OSA. So Richard Tenney they had already screwed up Gabe Gazaris, who was the mayor. They royally did this horrible program on him, which I wasn't part of, and I didn't find out about it till much later, but it's awful. And I met Gabe, thankfully, after I left. Anyway, they screwed him over, and this guy, Richard Tenney, was the city commissioner trying to run for mayor, right? So that was his goal. And his whole goal was don't trust Scientologists, they're liars. So save sparkling Clearwater, stamp out Scientology, right? That was his big pitch. This is a city commissioner running for mayor, right? At the time, in 1979, in Clearwater, Florida. And Milt says, look, we came here on a lie. And I go, what was that? And he goes, well, Hubbard was going to come from land. Remember, he was out in the ocean, and he was going to come onto land in Georgia. So that was the plan, was he was going to come on land in Georgia. And then he found out there's a big leak, and he found out the FBI were going to plant drugs on the ship. And so he went, whoa, we can't do that. So pulled around to Clearwater, Florida, bought the Fort Harrison under a lie, said they were some other church. So one of you might know, and posted on there if you do know the name of it. It's been talked about many, many times, but it's another religion that he made up the name of and said, we're the church of whatever it was. And so he said, so we, the Sea Org, can't handle these people. So you have to handle them. And I'm like, me? How am I going to handle him? It was just sort of like, it was unbelievable. It's because the whole town against these people, right? Now I'm supposed to go out and handle them. So finally, he talks me into it. I go, all right, I'll give it a shot. So I go out and there's an older lady holding an American flag and this big sign against Scientology. And I'm holding my son, he's a baby, and I walk up to her and I say, you're a grandmother, right? And she goes, yes, I am. And I said, and my son starts crying right away because they're all honking and yelling and all kinds of shit. And he starts crying. And I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is my religion. And look what you're doing. The only thing you're doing is upsetting my son. You're not really doing anything. You're not helping anybody. Get out of here. Put your signs down, put your flags down and go away. And she does. She puts her flags down and she leaves. So that was the beginning of me helping OSA. I just kind of talked person to person, just kind of whatever their thing was. Like one guy who's standing out there and he goes, Scientology doesn't believe in, I don't know, he had some weird thing. And I said, really? I said, what do you think? And he goes, well, I know one thing's for sure. They think, I don't know, he had some weird concept. And I said, we do not. And he goes, are you a Scientologist? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh my God. And he puts out his sign. He won't talk to me. It's just very weird. But anyway, I ended up going to different meetings and different things with Richard Tenney. I met Richard Tenney. I went into a meeting. We joined, that was part of the program, go join Safe Sparkling Clearwater. And so we did. And the Sea Org made $47 a week. True. They make very little money. But they get their room and board. And I think that's one of the tricky things where they get people now from other countries to come and join the Sea Org because you get free room and board. Tricky. So anyway, back to my Clearwater thing with Richard Tenney. Anyway, that was it. He ended up getting voted out of office. What happened, he ran for mayor and it was a slam dunk. He got voted out of office. And what had happened was right before that, I realized everybody in the city thought we were like people with long fangs, you know what I mean, that were going to bite them. And I said, because Scientologists often will never say they're Scientologists. They just won't. And I would all the time. I'd say, well, people's like, God, you're really nice. And I'd say, well, thank you. I'm a Scientologist. Because that was my thing. It was like I would promote who I was, right? And people would say, I can't believe you told that guy that you're a Scientologist. And I said, look, if everybody that is a Scientologist told people that they were a Scientologist, a lot of people would think better about Scientology. But people won't. They just won't. They're very afraid. They think that, and this was years ago. This was in 1979. And even way back then, it was like, no, I'm not telling them I'm a Scientologist. So anyway, I said, look, let's have a party. Because my mom was really big on have a party. It didn't matter what it was. If we have to rake the leaves, she'd say, you know what, I'm having a leaf raking party. Wear your rags, bring a rake, and come on over and we'll rake leaves. And then we're going to have a big bonfire and I'll feed dinner. And, she was a lot of fun. She just was. She was really great. So I said, let's have a party. We should have a party and nobody can talk about Scientology. You can tell them you're a doctor, you're a mother, you're a dentist, you're an attorney, whatever you are, talk about that and then listen to them, like be interested instead of trying to pitch Scientology or something like that. Don't do that. So they didn't. The party worked. And then about a week or two later was the vote and Richard Tenney was out, which, I say it because it was a win for us back then, but I was in the Truman Show. And for them, it was, I went from like zero, nobody even knew who I was, to now it was like, everybody was like, call Tori, she can handle it. So then we moved back to LA. And for a long, long time, people were like, call Tori. Forever, as long as I was there, they were like, call Tori, she can handle it. So then that began the beginning of what helped me wake up, which was they started sending me out to handle the critics who were here in LA. And they'd be out picketing and I'd go out and talk to them. And there's video, like Mark Bunker has the Magoo dancing in Boston. And if you watch that, the very beginning of it is me out handling the critics. I'm at Celebrity Center and I'm talking to the critics, like, why are you here? What are you doing? That kind of thing. That's what I would always do. So that was the beginning of it. And that's all I'm going to say for this this video. I just wanted to let you guys know the difference between the Sea Org and public, number one, and how did I get into this? Because it's a major part of what helped me wake up was the top secret mafia. And I would have never been in the top secret mafia if I hadn't done this thing in Clearwater. But it was like I went from nothing to call Tori. I don't know. We don't know what to do, but she can handle it. I mean, the Wallersheim trial happened in '85, and they had me in the courtroom. I was in the courtroom every day. And Ken Holden was the president at the time. And he came in and he goes, look, Tori, whatever you have to do, handle it. And I said, okay. He goes, we're behind you. And I said, okay. And it was a bunch of executives at the time. I don't know if Miscavige was there or not, but it was a bunch of executives. And so I'm here, the attorney's in front of me, and then the judge, right? And so Wallersheim, the deal was that he wouldn't talk about the OT3 materials. Now they're all over and everybody's sort of Xeno and all this other shit. But back then it was like really top secret. And it was their big money maker, right? So they didn't want anybody to hear about it. So I could tell, I knew Larry, and I could tell he was sort of like rolling into, I'm dreaming and that. And I thought he's going to roll into Xenu and the BTs and clusters and shit. And so I just raised my hand and I said, Your Honor, I need to say something. And the judge, Wallersheim's attorney, stands up and he says, she can't talk. She can't talk. And the judge goes like, remember, it's sort of like, from my viewpoint, it's like me, the attorney, and the judge. And the judge goes, sit down. And he looks like he's pointing at me. And I think, I don't faint. I really haven't. I've never fainted in my life. But all of a sudden, I almost fainted. I was just like, oh, dear God. But I just stood there and he goes, she might have something important to say. You sit down, to the attorney, right? So now he says to the whole jury, because there's like 3 rows of jury, he goes, all of you need to get out of the courtroom. I have to talk to her personally. So they get all the jury, they go outside, and he goes, all right, what do you have to say? What's up? And, I'm like, well, you promised you wouldn't let the OT3 materials into the courtroom, but now Larry's kind of going into it. And he asks a great question, which, again, I don't faint, but I almost fainted. He goes like this. And over here, wait, where am I? Over on this, I don't know where to, how do I show that side? Okay, over here on this side of the room, which I meant over there, but anyway, whatever. On my right side, which is your left side now. Anyway, on my right, he says, is Mr. Cooley, who is the Scientology attorney. And the judge looks at him and he goes, well, why didn't Mr. Cooley say something? And I don't really have an answer to that. I'm like, that's a good point. But then I'm good in emergency situations. And I'm kind of like, Tori, get it together. Just get it together. And so I think, and I go, okay, I can't speak for Mr. Cooley, but I can say I am OT3 and Mr. Cooley is not. So in all fairness to him, that's why I said it. And then all the executives stand up. I'm OT3. I'm OT3. I'm OT3. It was kind of a monumental moment in my life. And Yachty was in the back doing transcripts, and he brought it over to my house that night. And he goes, here's your OT8. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. Because OT8, you have to contribute so much from OT7 to the church to get onto OT8. And he was like, this is going to be enough, because you basically handled that whole thing. Anyway, I forgot why I was going to tell you that. Excuse me. But anyway, I'm going to look and see if you have any questions, because that's the end of my stories. I could tell you stories for hours. Okay, so brilliant explanation on how it's the Truman Show. Thank you. It really is. I mean, people who get that really understand. I graduated from high school in 1976. Okay, congratulations. I know, but I thought it might be a good question for her. All right, so what is the good question? Let me see. Yeah, Yellow Rose, I got that. This is the thing she said that I mentioned before, that when you leave, they're no longer your friends, so they really were never your friends. It's true. It's just when you're in Scientology, that never enters your mind. It's just it's not something that it's not something I would ever even think of. Okay, so here's a question. Let's put it up on the thing. do the publics realize how awful the Sea Org have it? No, not at all. That's a really good question. And it's like, no, they don't. I mean, if they knew, again, if any of these things, if people knew them, we would leave. But that's why I call it the Truman Show, because when you're in the show, you don't see that kind of stuff. Like the Sea Org, oh, this is Captain so and so, and this is so and so, and they have to act like everything's okay, or they'll go to the RPF. Remember, that's the slave camp. So they're like, okay, I'm on post. Like Jessica did a really great thing. She has a video where she's at the testing center, and she shows this one chick, and she's like whisking away, her broom. And Jessica gets a great video of it. And it's really funny, because it's like, I mean, I always say I love having SeaOrg come here, or ex-SeaOrg now, because they're super clean and they're super tidy. They are clean fanatics, because Hubbard they would do white glove, where they would put on gloves and they'd come around, oh, there's dust here, and then you'd get in trouble. So they're really good at cleaning. So anyway, that's the answer to that question, I hope. If you have another one, ask it at the bottom. Oh yeah, I gotta ask. Wait, I gotta click this. Laura said, okay, Tori brings her party everywhere she goes. Thank you. It's from my mom. It is. She was a party queen. For how long? Wait. I wasn't. Okay, let me ask this. Let me see if it comes up there. I wasn't Travolta's auditor ever. I helped train him in his second course. The communication course was the first one, and the HQS course was the second one. And I helped train him on that. That was it. And then soon after that, he got was it Welcome Back, Otter? Was that his first one? I'm bad at doing all this stuff. Anyway, he got his first thing where it was a big deal for him, and he became a celebrity. So anyway, there was that. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So now let me look and see if there's any other questions. As bad as the cult is, it seems like you had some good memories when you were, let's see, when I was in. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to stay somewhere where it's total hell. The Sea Org didn't either. Of course you have good memories. Of course you do. That's why you stay. And a combination of hope. I went with my friend Drew, who was never in, to show him the old Celebrity Center down on 8th Street, LA Org, AO. They were all down there, which is a really crummy area. It's by MacArthur Park and stuff like that. And we pulled up to 811 Beacon Street, which I lived at for a short time. And I literally just burst out crying. And these are on my videos somewhere, you can find them. But it was so intense. I mean, it was so amazing to me. And he was laughing. He thought I was laughing. And then he realized I was crying. And I said, it's so sad for me how many people are dead, how many people have committed suicide. It's just like, I know 17 young people that have committed suicide in Scientology. That's a lot of people. Knowing one person was too many. Knowing 17, it's like, I say it all the time, because I want parents to talk to their kids and say, look, whatever is happening, it isn't worth your life. Do you know what I mean? We can change. We're your parents. And if we need to change something, we'll change it. Okay? But don't take your life over it. And I think it's a very important thing for parents to talk to kids. And I talk to kids anyway. Even if they're not my kids, I talk to them. Every time I see a young person, I go like this. This is my card. I have my business card, and I go, here, because we talked for a few minutes and I go, oh yeah, I was in Scientology. I was in a cult for 30 years and I escaped out, and they go, really? Which one? And I go, Scientology. And they go, wow. I've always wondered about that. And I go, all right, here's my card. And I always hand them that. Here's my card. This is it so you can see it, what's on it. And it's basically my my friend made it up. But it has a picture of Xenu, just because somehow Xenu is a big tail for everybody. And then it's got Xenu.net, which I think still has great stuff on it. But you can put whatever you want. I've got my YouTube site, Tori Magoo 44, and then a few other ones. But it's a good thing to carry around. You know, it really is. All right, so now let me see if there's anybody else. Do you know anything about Christy Alley? I don't, except I knew, you know, she was in for a while, but she wasn't looking good towards the end. So, I mean, we went and picketed her health, you know, weight loss thing that she had, and she was awful. She looked terrible. So, unfortunately, she passed away. If you didn't know that, you're the best, Tori. I love your stories. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. The discipline RPF is for SeaOrg only. That's right. Yeah, the RPF, I've said that. I guess you didn't watch earlier, but I've made that very clear. It's like the only people who go to the RPF are SeaOrg. The public, it's not going to happen. You know, they could come to my house and say, you have to go to the RPF. I'd be like, really? Good luck on that one. You know, it's like, no, I have a job. I have a family. I am not going to the SeaOrg. I'm glad you guys like my story time. That's good. All right, so let me just check if there's anything else. Okay. Ever hear of I think it's Nexium Cult. Yes, very, very much so. Yeah. I haven't written my book yet, but I talked to someone today who said they might help me. So we'll see. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys for your kind comments. Sounds like a good party, Tori. It is. You guys are great. All right, so now let me just look at the bottom. She said to keep checking new messages. You love the name Milt. Okay. A name you never hear anymore. Yeah, true. I don't even know if the guy's still alive. We love hearing from you, Tori. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I think that's it. I guess you don't have any more questions. I know Lara would be saying, keep talking. She was so funny. She's like, if so many people keep talking. She was really a riot. Anyway, do you have anything you want me to talk about right now? You have to say it. You have to write it. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the countdown thing. I forgot that. Your length is inspiring. Love your stories. Thank you. You mean my length of this video, how long it is inspiring? Okay, that's good. What's up, sister? It's called the Project Normandy. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Tori Magoo question, can you, wait. All right, hang on. Can you describe what Big Blue looks like inside? Does it still resemble a hospital inside that it once was? No, not at all. They've spent probably thousands, if not millions of dollars renovating all of that so that it looks nice inside. I mean, they pay a lot of money to renovate things, so they want it to look upstat. You know, does anybody not know what upstat and downstat is? Just think of statistics, and all of us have statistics. And upstats are people that have, you know, they look nice, they have a nice house, they have a nice car, their area looks nice. And downstats, it looks kind of dumpy and crummy, and you know, so they don't want to be downstat. They've got to be upstat. So that's the way it is. So no, I think, oh, did it work? Tori, you're an amazing, inspiring, love it, and keep doing it. Now, I don't remember, do I click this or this? Okay, there we go. I'm still learning. I told you guys, after all these years in the cult, how did you keep your lovely spirit? My parents. You know, this is an interesting story. This is really a nighttime story, but I'm going to tell you right now anyway, because you guys are so kind and you stuck with me. So I appreciate it. Okay. they would send me out to handle these picketers, right? For 2 years. I was out there, I met Bunker. That's how I met Bunker. He was there filming, and I was like, they said, just go with this Englishman and act like you're English. So there's a video on there of me. It's like, hi, I'm Katie or whatever it was. I forget. It was just some bullshit thing where we were just supposed to keep him distracted, keep him away from it. Wait just a second before because this went away. Somebody said something about clear. Jana, question: do you think Hubbard said clean the world instead of clear? No, I don't. He was really big on clear. So what's the question that I'm answering? You have any stories about Jeff Levin? Oh God, no, wait, I got to finish whatever I was answering. What was it? Hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you for reminding Cheryl. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you, each of you, for being kind. Okay, I don't want to talk about Clear and Hubbard. He's a liar. He just ripped off stuff. All this stuff, that was the biggest shock for me. I started reading self-improvement books for the last 10 years. Oh yeah, that's what I remember what it was though. I remember it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this because they sent me out to handle these critics, and I was really good at it. It was just sort of like, I don't know, I just was good at it, right? And a couple of examples. One, these guys were all picketing, and they had a big leather, like goldenrod color, www.xenu.net. Now that was back when it was a big secret name. Nobody'd heard it, right? So OSA's like, get out there, get rid of them, however you can do it. So I go up to this guy. I try to talk to him a bit, and of course nobody will talk to me, and they're picketing around. And so finally I get this guy, and I go, can I ask you a question? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I said, did you ever have any birthday parties when you were a kid? And he goes, oh yeah, definitely. And I said, really? I said, okay, so let me just ask you something. What if somebody outside your birthday party when you're a little kid was picketing around with a sign saying your mother's a whore? Would that make you happy or not? He said, no. And I said, well, believe it or not, that's kind of what that sign says to us, that you have it out there. I can't explain it except to just say it's really bad news. For these guys are just trying to have a party, and you've got that sign out there, and it's really not good. And you know what he did? He goes to the guy, and he goes, all right, roll it up, guys, we're leaving. And OSA, they were always like, what are your crimes? What are your overts? What are you doing here? Why get off our street? Shit like that, right? And people stay forever. And me just talking to the guy, he leaves. All right, so there's one example. The other one, I went to see the governor because they were going to put a thing where kids could get abortions in the school without ever talking to their parents. And Dr. Laura Schlesinger had said on the radio, just anybody, any parents, anybody that cares, go talk to the governor. So me and Vicky went up there, and we talked and whatever. We did our thing there about that. And then on the way home, I thought, I really got to get my hair washed and just trimmed a little bit. And so I stopped in this hairdresser place, and she washes my hair and she trims it. And I said, because I have like tons of hair. I have like 3 heads of hair. So I said, I really don't have time to, have you blow dry it. And she goes, okay. So she just kind of combs it out, and it looks all right, but it looks just okay, right? So now we're walking back, and we see the Scientology mission. And I said, hey, let's go over there. And there's 2 kids are out picketing, and they've got a Xenu doll and a picket sign, right? And they're going back and forth in front of the mission, right? And so we go around them, and we go in. And remember, I've been being sent out forever to handle these critics. So it's nothing to me. It's 2 kids, big deal, right? So I go in, and there's the whole staff. They're all like hiding over in the corner. And I go, what the hell is going on? And they go, those guys are outside. And I go, okay. And this guy goes, oh, thank God, Tori's here. She can handle it. If she will, she can handle it. And he said, but you got to ask her. And so they go, well, would you try to handle it? And I go, I'll give it a shot. So I go outside, and I ended up writing this up to Mike Rinder before I left, because he was still the head of PR at the time in the church. And let's say these are the windows, right? Think of this as these are the windows, and I'm walking along the windows, and he's between the windows and me over this way. Actually, it's hard for me to do it with the camera, but he's between these are the windows, and the guy's between me and me. And so I'm walking along, and I try to talk to him. What do you know about Scientology? And he won't talk to me. And he just keeps, and so all of a sudden I see myself in the window. I see my hair. And I think, oh my God, my hair looks awful. And so I say to him, can I ask you something? What do you think about my hair? And he just keeps going along. And I said, no, really, I mean it. I really want you to look at my hair. And does it look awful or not? Because I just got it cut, and it kind of looks a little bit creepy to me. What do you think? And so finally he stops, he looks at my hair, and he bursts out laughing. I go, what? And he goes, my mother always asked me that stuff, and I never know what to say. And he looks at his friend, he goes, you know what? Let's just go home. And they leave. They pack up and they leave. And I go inside, and everybody's like cheering and like, what did you do? And I said, I just asked him, how do you like my hair? And I wrote that up to Mike Rinder saying, you guys and what are your overts and what are your crimes? It's such bullshit. It's like these guys left because I asked them, honestly, what do you think about my hair? I mean, I really wanted an answer, just like the guy when I was in and handling the critics. And he was like, can I ask you a question? Why can't you read those books? And I was like, oh, I can read anything. And he just kept coming back to me. But that was one of the things. He wanted an answer. He really wanted it. And he was kind. And those are the things that I say to people, try to be kind to people, because it really, you can get more with honey than vinegar kind of thing. And it's true. So anyway, so I end up, now I'm out. I leave, I escape out. And Laurel Sullivan, I go to Nancy Maney's house for a party, and Laurel Sullivan is there. And she was L. Ron Hubbard's personal PR, right? And so I say, I'm kind of curious about this, because it's like I was just a public person, but I was very successful at helping with a lot of these things, right? And the Sea Org couldn't do shit. And so I said, could I ask you a question? And she goes, yeah. And I explained what I told you, that I used to help handling the critics and stuff like that. And I was pretty successful at it. So what's the deal with OSA? I mean, why are they so weird? And she looks at me and she goes, you were never trained in L. Ron Hubbard's PR tech, were you? And I said, no, I wasn't. And I thought of my parents. It was really, my dad was a kind of a broadcaster and a football player, broadcaster in the 60s on TV. And my mom was like Lucille Ball in the day and this gorgeous model at night. She was just a lot of fun. That was her thing. And it was just sort of like she helped the community. She helped people. She was just a cool person. And so I thought those are really my two models for what I've ever used on things. And she said, that's why you were successful. We who got trained in L. Ron Hubbard's PR tech were kicked out of every single port in the world. That's what she said. Now, I've talked to a couple other SeaOrg guys where they have a different story. So I'm just saying that's what she said. And to me, it was like, okay, so that makes sense. So anyway, that's my last story. Now, let me just look. There's new comments. Let me check, because she said, always check new comments. Oh my God, there are a ton. Wait, uh-oh. Thank you. Thank you for admiring my courage. That's a nice thing. See, she said she admired my courage. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm teasing, but I appreciate it. Now, what does this say? A new idea for the project, a protest chant. You Scientologists are all out exchange since you don't pay taxes. You are freeloaders. Scientology needs to pay their freeloader debt to America. Revoke tax exemption. I don't agree, but that's your thing. Do it. To me, having been sent out and tried to handle things, more people were yelling stuff like that. They just don't hear it. They don't. It's too much for them. They're not going to hear it. But I think the way to get it, tax exemption is not going to be taken away by anybody in Scientology that you see. It's just not going to happen. We got to write to our senators, our congressmen, the president of the United States, that kind of thing, and get it. I mean, I I got my some checks that were owed to me from the government. I wrote to Obama, his wife, and I carbon copied it to the mayor here and the senator. And I got my 3 checks within a week because I said, look, we can either take it over. This whole area that was not working. I said, I have friends that are out of work. They let us go because we're too old. We're like 60 and they let us all go, 50 people. And I said, we're hard workers. So you can either give us a job and we'll take it over and we'll fix it, or send me my checks. Those are the 2 things. And I got my 3 checks and I'd written to the president, right? I got my 3 checks in a week and a letter from the senator saying, don't ever write the president again. Here's my form. If you have any trouble, write to me. So you have to realize they do have stuff. They don't do a lot of stuff sometimes, but sometimes they do. And if all of us wrote to them, just like this stuff that's happening where they're doing these phony police calls, if all of us wrote to the mayor, and this is people around the United States, because people have written to me saying, God, we're watching it. This is a nightmare. I say, write to the mayor in LA and say, you live in Alabama and you've been watching this and it's awful. You know what I mean? It's like enough people and they'll have to do something. I do have superpowers. That's right. Someone said, you might have superpowers. Don't step on Tori's feet. Thank you. That's right. That's right. Somebody did step on. Laura stepped on my foot today. Yesterday. It was like, ow. Thank you for loving my rings. I'm kind of a ring and necklace girl. I'm like into it. That's accessories are my thing. I don't like clothes because I was overweight for so long. So I learned to accessorize. Howdy pals, please hit the like button. Thank you, Princess OPD. All right, from Utah. All right, thank you for that reminder. Yeah, please hit the like button and also subscribe. My subscriptions are going up. It's so fabulous because that's one of the things OSA hates is that my subscriptions have gone up, and they have way gone up in the last few weeks. So I really thank every one of you who has subscribed to my site, and definitely subscribe to these other people's sites too, because all of them matter. They really do. And it makes a big difference. All right. So anyway, you're curious if Miscavige ever watches the live streams. I like to imagine Tim kicking his little legs. I don't think he does. I really don't. I think the man, it's like, I want to hear what I want to hear. And they know it. Or, you're going to the RPF. I mean, I was in the sandcastle when my friend Tony Clock was working in the, like serving, and Miscavige sat down and didn't like a fork. And he picked up the fork and he said, do you want me to get you another fork? And this is what he said. I don't like that guy's tone level. Put him on the RPF. That's what happened. Just like that. So it's like, I don't think people tell Miscavige, oh, you wouldn't believe all the shit that these people, it's like, no, I doubt it. I could be wrong. And if somebody knows differently, come on out and tell us. I'm happy to hear it. All right. Anyway, I don't know if he has a position on the Vietnam War. I have no idea. I don't even know Miscavige. To me, he's, I met him like everybody else when he took over. Tori, you should get moderators to put up questions for you so you can stay relaxed. And I will. This is a work in progress. You have to know that. I mean, yesterday, if you watched yesterday's show, we had so much fun, but it took a while. It did. It was tricky. I mean, I had to even call Bunker, and Bunker didn't know either. So DOA, Defender of Ants, he figured it out, and Laura. So the 2 of them figured it out, and that's what happened. But anyway, thank you. I hope you guys have a great night too. I really do. I really appreciate you guys coming here. It means a lot to me that you're listening to it. If you can, if any of my videos, if you'd like them, share them on your site. If you're on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. Okay, no, wait, this person says, I don't know if they think it's a church. No, wait. What does he say? I don't know if they think it's a church. Maybe just use the words as means to an end. I would be curious as to Tori's view on it. You don't know if who thinks it's a church. Scientology knows it's not a church. They're better than a church. That's a fact. But they're not, of course, but that's what they pitch. But they want to be thought of as a real religion. They realize that's a huge power, like Christians and stuff like that. So they want to be in with all these guys. So the more you guys can just say, they did this, how could they be a real religion? Just ask people, how could they be a real religion when they, lock people up on an RPF, or they sign these kids up for a billion-year contract when they're underage? And Gavin Potter, I do hope you go to prison. I hope Leah wins, and I hope you go to prison for that very reason. Now I forget how you get rid of that thing. Okay, hide the current comment. Okay, there you go. All right. Did you see the TikTok is going to possibly be banned? Wow, really? Excuse me. No, I didn't see that. I'm going to have some water. Does the Church of Scientology have a position on the Vietnam War? Who knows? I don't know. They never talked about it. Excuse me. Scientology can't exist without electricity. Martha, that's a good one. And you're probably right. But I think that's kind of true for a lot of us. I mean, it'd be tricky. Well, what would it take to, oh, please. If I had an answer to that, we wouldn't be sitting here having a conversation. It's like, I think what it's going to take is enough exposure socially to the abuses they have and how much money they are charging, and people getting to their representatives about it, saying they charge for everything. It is a business. It is a mind control, soul sucking business hiding behind a curtain of religion. It is not a religion. It is not. I mean, they're one definition in the dictionary. They're a religion because they're a group and they agree with each other and stuff like that. But as far as what people think of a religion, they're certainly not nonprofit. They could say we're for-profit religion. Okay, fair enough. But they're not. They'd say they're nonprofit. And that's bullshit. Not true. Hi, Becky. All right. So anyway, you know me. I could talk forever. But I appreciate you guys doing that. I love you. Do I think Scientology will come to an end eventually? Oh, yeah. It is. You just go walk around and look in their buildings. People on the public, you talk to them and they go, well, they're really expanding. And I go, really? And that's based on what? And they go, well, they have a lot of buildings here in LA. And I go, exactly. And have you ever looked in their buildings? No. Well, go look in their buildings, because there's usually about 3 people in the entire state of California. My friend and I drove from the top of California all the way to San Diego, went to every Scientology thing we could. And there was like 1 to 3 people in each thing. That was it. There's nothing happening. Miscavige already canceled. Scientology was like this. And they had the missions, which helped get people in. Now they've canceled the missions, right? So, you got to go figure. It's a real estate empire. That's right. It's not a church. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely going to go down. It's just a matter of how and when. But it is. And people are leaving all the time. So that's good. Now they're trying to recruit. And this is the thing you guys can do, is when you talk to people from other countries, let them know that, Scientology's after you. And they go, really? And I go, hell yeah. Especially if they're young. I go, if you're young and you're nice and you speak 2 languages, Scientology wants you. Because they've already gone to America. People are like, no, I'm not joining Scientology. But people from other countries, it's sort of like, well, let me think about it. No, don't think about it. Here's my card. Go learn this stuff. And then you think about it. you know, because theirs is all the Truman Show. It's all wonderful. Anyway, I love you guys. I thank everyone who is doing live videos, speaking out, supporting the people that are doing live videos. And I hope to see you very, very soon. And I'm going to end this now. And it says end the live stream. So I'm going to end it. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words and your kind thoughts. All right. Good night.